And we're up. Nobody can see me. I'm just an animated Teams window, but you guys can see Corey. Corey, wave at the people watching. Let me know also if you can hear everyone. It looks like I'm sounding okay, but I don't know whether Corey and Elle are coming through. So let me know. So how are you guys doing? Oh man, now everyone is just a Teams window. Let me see. Blackwing is saying that they're not hearing either you or Corey. So stand, but they can see Corey. All right, stand with me, guys, for just a moment. I will see what I can do to fix this. I'm not sure why everything has decided to go off the rails today. Sure. I mean, I have the same issue with Zoom, so yeah. Let's see. Let's go with that. Let's try that. Try talking again.
Test, test.
Can
Can
people
you
hear
hear?
me? Yes, no,
Can you
maybe
guys hear
so.
us?
All right, I think
I know there's a delay.
Yeah, like a 3 second delay. So if you can hear us now, let us know in the chat.
I don't hear Corey and I don't see Josh, and that's Jared Hodges.
I think they can hear you guys. I think they can hear both of you guys now. They can still just see
Okay.
Corey and not see myself and Elle.
Hey guys, can you hear us? Can you let us know? That way we don't dive too deep into this episode and have to start over.
New Bill,
Thanks.
he says he's not hearing Corey. He can see me, but he can't hear me.
Now I have an echo.
Man, how long are we on a delay? Is this still like a 3 second delay or is this like a 20 second delay?
Now I don't know. Now there's a little bit of an echo. All right. Let's see.
Because we're all using headsets, so there shouldn't be an echo, like a feedback from anyone's stream. Check. Hello.
1,
Blah,
2,
blah, blah,
3,
blah, blah, blah.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we
Okay,
okay now?
before we get into it, can you hear us? Can you hear us? The struggles are so real.
No. Can they hear me?
We're good. Thanks, Larry. Thanks for the confirmation.
Okay. Brief history of Ultraman. Okay, here we go. Way back in the 60s, before any of us was born, Ultraman was featured on a show called Ultra Q, which is basically Japan's Twilight Zone. And it featured a lot of it was like horror and kaiju monsters, and Ultraman was one of the creatures that was featured on the show. So when Ultra Q ended, Ultraman got his own show. It's not necessarily a spinoff, but it just kind of transitioned, you know?
Okay.
And then Ultraman became a thing. You know, Japan's Superman, basically. Japan's Batman is Kamen Rider. So, the equivalent. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like
that's the
that
equivalent.
analogy.
And also, there's a 2013 version of Ultra Q called Neo Ultra Q. That's the one I watched. I'm sorry, I'm backtracking a little bit. Ultra Q, you can watch that on Pluto TV on Tokusatsu. But anyway, this version of Ultraman takes place a few decades after the original Ultraman. And Ultraman, this version of Ultraman is based on a manga, which is available on Comixology now. And there's also a Marvel Comics version of Ultraman that started last year, written by
really?
Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom.
Oh man, so Kyle Higgins is the one that also does the Power Rangers series. Is that correct, or am I making that up? Okay.
Yeah, he started the Power Rangers. So
that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know there was a Marvel kind of like, it's not a collab. Did they buy the rights to Ultraman, or are they just doing
I guess
own...
it's a license thing.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I need to look into that.
So it seems cool, but it's still very it looks everyone is still dressing the same, but it feels like it takes place today. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. But was Super Sentai to Japan? Power Rangers? Yeah, look at what's Super Sentai in Japan is that's where it comes from. Super Sentai is only in Japan. Super Sentai outside of Japan is still referred to Power Rangers. Even in Korea, when it's dubbed in Korean, is still Power Rangers. So let's say Mystic Force, Power Rangers Mystic Force. In Japan is Maho Sentai Magi Ranger, and in other Asian countries outside of Japan is Power Rangers Magic Force.
Oh, instead of okay.
Yeah, so they're watching Super Sentai branded as Power Rangers.
Oh, weird, but it is like the Sentai version of it and not the American Power Rangers version of it. Oh, weird. That's like kind of confusing.
Yeah. So I got my video working.
Nice.
So we all good.
So it's sorry. Continue, Corey.
But I think that's it. I just found out today there's a new Ultraman movie coming out this year called Shin Ultraman. Director of Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you watch that anime, he also did Shin Godzilla. Nice. He did Shin Godzilla a few years ago. That really gross looking Godzilla, and his hands are like this.
Oh yeah.
Like so it's same director, and he's redoing Ultraman. He looks more like an alien instead of like a man in a suit. So like,
I mean, because that's what he is. I think because a man in a suit, like back at the time, like they needed somebody in a costume to be able to do it. So that really geared it. But he's just kind of a beam of light that comes from space. So I'm glad they're kind of making that distinction. Like he's not a Power Ranger. He's not just a person. He's like a being of light that goes into somebody.
Yeah, if you cut him open, he's gonna bleed light. So he's not a dude in a suit. Like the person who transforms into Ultraman combines with the alien. He doesn't turn into Ultraman.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, that'll be super interesting because I love Neon Genesis. Like I love that series. It's so good. The animation is so good. The finale of the series though was a little weird, but I accept it now as an adult.
It's super deep. Like if you're like into the Bible and stuff like that, it's a religious epic disguised as a super robot show.
Yeah, I mean, but we digress. I'm super excited about the movie, so I'm curious to see what it is. I personally do not have a lot of experience with Ultraman, about the history of the shows, anything like that. That wasn't my thing growing up. Or even as an adult, but this first episode of this Netflix series is actually quite good. I don't want to go too deep into the story yet, but we were kind of talking about the animation earlier and that kind of like 3D CGI kind of thing. And for those of you in the chat, I'm kind of curious, are you into that kind of animation? Is it too jarring? Are you down with that? Because it's kind of weird. If any of you have seen the movie Waking Life, it kind of reminds me of that. Like it's almost painted over like real footage. Like the CGI portions of some of it are too realistic for the really anime cartoon characters. Like it looks a little weird, but I don't know.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean the Cyberverse one? Yeah. But CGI anime is always weird. Yeah, I've seen some that look cool, and the animation was on par with the stuff we do in America. But it's just, I mean, their specialty is hand animation. They top everybody on the planet. But with CG animation, they're still getting there. It takes a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, like, honestly, I was so invested in the beginning, it was jarring for me, but I became invested in the story and the characters, and it kind of did fade into the background. Like, it wasn't such a major issue where it pulled me out of the story or the events that were going on. I actually kind of like felt a little more immersed into it, but I was reading subtitles, so maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to the actual animation that I was like trying to read and keep up with the story. Josh actually watched the dub version, so I'm kind of curious, was the animation any more jarring for you than, maybe it was for me? But yeah, should we jump into the episode? Do we have any more preamble before we jump into this? We are only covering one episode today on the not so retro Ranger wrap up, but kind of a more recent Ultraman Netflix show that we're doing. I guess that does lead it into my next question is, are we keeping the retro Ranger wrap up title for as we go through Ultraman?
Retro Ranger wrap up featuring Ultraman.
Yeah, we'll do Ultraman. What do you call it? Like an intermission between all of these series. We're gonna have probably a couple of these.
Kind of like a song. It's like you know how I have an artist and it's like featuring this person.
Yeah.
The title of the song featuring. Yeah. Oh, am I?
One thing goes right, one thing goes wrong. All right. So we have what it appears like kind of the father-son dynamic, and it gives us a little bit of backstory about the father. What was his name? Shin.
Oh man, you know what? Shin Hayate.
Okay, so Hayata? Was it Hayata? Hayate?
Hayata.
So, Hayata. So we
Shin Hayata. And his son, Shinjiro is his son.
Yeah, Shinjiro is his son. So we get a little bit, yeah. Well, yeah. So Shinjiro is the son. We have the father, Hayata, and we get a little bit of background information about the father, which is kind of interesting through flashbacks. It was already kind of engaging, but we basically find out that he was Ultraman, and he doesn't remember, but everyone else seems to, which is kind of crazy. And he, I guess, when Ultraman, the light went back up, left him with some residual powers. Is that typical of an Ultraman story? Is this the same thing that was in the manga and like the previous Ultraman arcs?
Oh, like in the manga, yeah, because this is an adaptation of the manga. But like in Ultraman in general, I don't think so. Because the only Ultraman series I watch, I watched Max, Nexus, and Tiga, and none of that was mentioned. Okay. So you know when they stop being an Ultra, they're just a person, and they also sometimes diverge into alternate realities. So this isn't necessarily canon in the main Ultraman timeline. It's just kind of a alternate universe.
Okay.
So
That's pretty interesting because the father does pass down those Ultraman genes to his son in some form. The son realizes, like, who idolizes his father in the beginning, which I thought was super adorable, falls off the second story of this balcony area in a museum. And his dad's like, yo, he's okay. I'm going to just take him home. Everyone's like, you should probably take him to the hospital, man. Like, he felt pretty hard. He was like unconscious. He's like, no, he'd be fine. So the dad knows that, his son has powers, has had powers up until that age. So I'm kind of curious, like, why he didn't mention anything. Because the dad also didn't know that he was Ultraman, but he knows that he's strong.
Well, it seemed like he had suspicions that his son, he may have passed something on to his son. Okay. He didn't necessarily know. And then he was like, oh, shit, he really does have powers. Because I think dad knew he had, like, some residual strength from being Ultraman. Yeah. Like he probably doesn't know why. And he's like, oh, I was, he heard stories. I was Ultraman. No, I don't remember nothing. I don't remember jack shit.
Yeah.
But also left him with the these powers. I forget what they called it, Ultra genes or something like that. I don't remember what they called it.
So whatever, this dude has some midichlorians like running through his blood that he passed down to his son.
Something, yeah. I don't remember what they called it.
Okay. So
maybe
what I'm understanding is the father was on this mission, right? But he didn't know he was Ultraman. He just got imbued with those powers at some point in his past when he was on the mission with, what was it, the SSP or something like that?
Yeah, the super scientific something. I forget. Triple S.
Yeah. So whatever it was, he was going through that. I did have a moment where I was confused, where he kind of has, like, his friend is like, hey, did you just have a memory? Because he saw himself going into like a plane or a jet or something like that. But that was, they were like, oh, we were going to say, it was a terrorist attack, and we moved it to like, hey, they had like a malfunction with the plane. So did the father actually kill all of those innocent people, or was that back from the war and he was fighting something else?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because they zoomed in and they showed the bad guy, but how did that trigger, what triggered the father's memory of like, oh my God, I'm Ultraman. Like, I'm going to realize it now in this moment.
I guess
that we got this
seeing an Ultra kind of triggered like a PTSD kind of
and he
thing.
Was like, that is not Ultraman. I am Ultraman and I would not do that. Was that kind of like one of those moments?
I guess you can say that. There are dark Ultras, like in Power Rangers, there are Dark Rangers.
Uh-huh.
So there's a handful of Dark Ultras. This is one of them. And that happened recently, the plane explosion, and that's what triggered the scientific. I mean, they didn't stop doing what they were doing since Hayata was Ultraman, but
now they're in high gear. They were like, hey, yes, something has come back down. We've had years of peace, and all of a sudden this guy came and blew up innocent people through this plane. And they kind of like glaze over that, and it cuts to Shinjiro. Now he is, I'm guessing, in high school, maybe late middle school, but he's a teenager now. So he was a child in elementary school. We see him grow up. He's a good-looking kid. He's already winning the eye of some like pop idol girl as he's walking down the street a couple times, and he decides to flex his power. He kind of has like a little Peter Parker moment, I think, where he's just like,
I think
what we got going on.
I think our audio went out again.
I'm not sure. Let me. I guess people watching Donnie Pearson Blackwing, let us know if you can hear all of us. We know that you can't see Elle. She just looks like a Teams animation. You should be able to see me now. You should be able to see Corey. You should be able to hear me. You should be able to hear Corey, and you should be able to hear Elle, I believe.
I hope you guys can hear us. Do we have anything interesting going on in the chat that we want to mention? Did any of you guys actually watch this series and or rewatch this episode with us?
Donnie Pearson is watching it now.
Okay, cool.
Jalen Glover just popped in. I haven't seen him around in a while.
What's up, Jalen?
Let's see. Jared Hodges said something about Dice being a 3D anime. Blackwing says that he can hear all of us now.
Okay, perfect. So but yeah, this is pretty interesting. I love that Peter Parker moment with Shinjiro, and he's jumping from rooftop to rooftop, kind of testing his powers, because he obviously at this time knows that he's a lot stronger, a lot different from the other kids at high school. And I love that he wanted to protect that girl. And he was just kind of like, hey, we're going to win some points. I'm not going to be shy. He has this moment and he barely touches this guy's foot and crushes the shit out of it. Yeah. And I was like, dude, those girls, the way they backed away, I was like, you kind of saved them, but also I think you lost the 10 points,
maybe
my friend.
Freak them out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, when I watched the trailer for this, it looked like one of those girls. I'm assuming the one who's the pop star has a slightly larger role in the series going forward. Corey, I know you've seen all of this already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, without spoiling what's coming up, was there anything in this episode that stuck out to you that we should be paying attention to that may come back in the future?
Not really. This series is pretty straightforward. It's not really mysterious in any way. I'm sure there's Easter eggs lurking around, but I'm not too knowledgeable about Ultraman to catch him.
I think that's fine. If any of you guys are Ultraman fans in the chat, let us know. If you can point out any cool little Easter eggs or little secrets or references, we'd love to know that. I feel like it only enhances your understanding and watching experience of a show. I was going to look up to see if there was anything like that, but I didn't want spoilers for the rest of the season, just because I'm super curious. And they did announce they will be releasing a season 2, supposedly this year. I'm not sure if that's dependent on COVID and production, right. But I'm pretty excited. It already has kind of the heart and emotion, I think, towards the end of the episode, which ended in a cliffhanger. Spoilers ahead. So the dad, Hayata, comes down from out of nowhere to protect his son, who just kind of had this crazy experience, meets the dark. Do we know the villain's name yet? Does he have a name?
We don't get this guy's name till later.
Okay. So we see this kind of evil Ultraman, and he's like, "You're Ultraman." He's like, "No, I'm not." But the dad comes down, rips open his shirt, Superman style, and is like, I'm Ultraman. Yeah, it was like that Iron Man moment where he's giving the press conference and he takes it off. He was like, "I am Ultraman." I'm like, "Oh my god, this shit is lit! This shit is lit."
I was really confused when they did the time jump because I read the subtitle as 10 years earlier for some reason instead of 10 years later, and I was like, "The dad."
How?
And I had assumed that the kid who was the younger kid, the son, was the father 10 years ago. I'm watching this. I'm like, there's no way that this is the kid, that this is the dad 10 years ago.
He aged pretty fast.
Yeah,
and had
he got a kid. Old. That Ultraman shit took a toll on him.
Yeah, and especially when he says I waited to have kids later, and it's he's just like, dude, that means you're only 25 to 30 years old. Shit, man. Ultraman, you led a hard life as Ultraman.
So, also, I guess this is officially a sequel. It takes place within the greater Ultraman universe, since there are things here that were obviously explained earlier. Is that right?
It's a non-adjacent sequel. It's a sequel to the original Ultraman, but it takes place in an alternate reality.
Okay.
So it's not canon to the main Ultra series that takes place on television, if that makes sense.
Right. But it's assuming that the audience has a general knowledge of the original.
Yes.
I feel like you don't need that, though. I have no past experience with Ultraman, and I feel like so far I've been able to keep up with the story. We understand that this beam of light comes down from space. It joins with a human body. They had a battle. He won. Space flight went back into space, and there was peace on Earth until this dark guy came and blew up a plane. And I feel like you don't even need to understand that in the context. It does give a broader kind of world expanding view on things. But if this was just kind of a father passing the torch down to his son, I I'm down for that. Like, I love like father-son stories. I feel like there's not a ton of them that are like positive and supportive. Like the dad's like, hey, what have you been doing? You know, you experiencing things, looks like you're going through some trouble. And the son's like, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
You've been jumping rooftops again, I see. Yes, no?
Yeah, but then the moment, so you think this kid is kind of like resistant to his father, but you see him like struggling and he's in panic. Like he doesn't know what to do by the end of that episode. And his dad comes down and is like, I'm Ultraman. And it's like, holy shit, he is here to save the day. Like that was an epic moment in my opinion.
Yeah, but it was like to me that was like the perfect way to end the episode too, because it's like a hard cliffhanger. If this had been a weekly thing, then we'd have to wait an entire. I mean, I'm probably not going to watch the second episode until sometime this week, so I will be waiting. But in a non-bingeable world, that's the kind of thing where people would be sitting around, they'd be talking about it, and it would be like one of those moments. Whereas now, if we like, I could sit down and watch this entire season in a day. It's 13 episodes, 23 minutes each, so that's like maybe 4 hours, 4.5 hours. So like that's a really easy show to binge. And I kind of like not binging things sometimes because
it gives you time like for the story to percolate in your brain, to like come up with theories, to analyze it deeper, to come up with your own interpretation of what you saw before the next episode. I do like that. Yeah. But man, it is so hard to resist binging. I was going to, but knowing that we're talking about this, and if they sprinkle any more like father backstory, like I might be able to piece that together, but I won't know what episode necessarily it came from. So I'm trying to watch it week to week with you guys just to avoid spoilers and everything like that. But I am hyped. I am hyped about this show. And I think it's a good switch up from Power Rangers. Like it has some of that feel, but it's very modern and I don't know. I like this. It's a good refresher, I think, for us here at the Retro Ranger wrap up.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like we still have that kid who kind of discovers that he has powers. It's sort of like the Power Rangers, except instead of being granted this power just like out of the blue all of a sudden, he's more like a Superman who's grown up having these abilities and is still kind of trying to figure them out. But it seems like over the course of the series, we're going to see additional people that he interacts with come and kind of help him out. So there's still that team aspect of the show and of the story.
No, not really. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but yeah, it's
so that science, the super science people aren't.
I mean, really they're together. It's more like in Kamen Rider. When other writers show up, for some reason they always got to fight with each other. So I mean, when there's a common goal, when there's a monster around, they'll fight the monster. But as soon as that monster is gone, it's like, hey, you're an asshole. I'm like, what did I do? I was like, bro, what do you mean? It's that dynamic all the time. So this is kind of that dynamic in this show too.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Since Josh, you haven't seen this all the way through either, do you have any predictions? So we already found out your first one that he's going to have a team of support,
which has already been shot down.
Is not there. Do you have any other predictions of where you think you want to go? And do you have any other prior knowledge about Ultraman that might kind of sway your opinions on that?
Not really. Like I remember watching Ultraman when I was a kid.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that last week.
Like I don't remember anything about it. I just remember that it was a thing and that I've seen it, and that's really about it. I don't know. Like it seems like this series is not going to focus on kaiju. So I don't know whether or not we'll see those, but I would assume we're not. Corey's shaking his head in agreement. It looks like that we're not going to see kaiju.
Yeah, I mean, those same aliens are there, but they're just human size.
Okay.
So they're no giants.
It's not like Godzilla, like Rodan.
No. It's basically turning Ultraman into a normal sized Henshin hero.
Okay, I actually kind of like that. It takes out kind of like the suspension of disbelief even within these kind of worlds, and how can you ignore certain things that are going on that are that huge. It does bring it down where it's like it can be more isolated incidences, which I like. I feel like for my own curiosity, As far as Shinjiro's mother, I wonder what happened to her, because the father did mention like, hey, I'm a little bit older, decided to have kids older. Like, is his mom like super young? Did she pass away? Like, were there complications? Is that going to affect, the growth and story? Because I'm assuming Shinjiro is our main character. I'm going to assume that the father dies to pass the torch in some way. So I wonder who he's going to be left with, and if he's just going to be kind of like taken to the care of the scientists and having to deal with that while also maintaining his friendships with those two boys, going to school, trying to win over the girl, and have it be a very kind of like, I'm a teenager with special powers kind of thing. Like, you did say it was straightforward, but I'm kind of curious about all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems to me, this seems like it's actually going to have, even though it is 23-minute episodes, and we may start falling back on those like pacing issues that I had with Power Rangers. It seems like we're going to have a fully fleshed out story here, where there's definitely the fighting, and the fighting is a big aspect of it. But just from this first episode, it feels like there might be a little bit deeper storytelling than what we were getting with the past 2 seasons that I've seen of Power Rangers.
Yes, maybe. That's 100% a fact.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I already feel the father-son bond relationship. I care about them both deeply, where I don't want any harm to come to either of them. And that was just in 23 minutes. You get the backstory, a little bit of Ultraman. You get the setup between father and son. You already get that they do care about each other, even though, the son's a teenager and is like, doesn't want to share everything that he's going through mentally, emotionally, like that. And I feel like it's grounded in pretty realistic terms, other than having space aliens coming and attacking for no reason. Like, it's ridiculous, but still super grounded. And I love stories that are like that.
Well, you'll come to learn that there is a reason for the aliens attack. So it's very different from what we've been watching the past few months.
So they have more motivations than other than, I am evil and I would like to conquer Earth. Because he does say, like, hey, this power does not belong on Earth. And the kid's like, yo, I didn't ask for this. He's already the reluctant hero who's going to have this call to action, I'm assuming, with his father dying. This is all just assuming.
Yeah, what I would
based
assume,
off of the straightforward storyline that I'm assuming this is.
Yeah, what I would assume is in the next episode, his father's going to fight this guy, his father's going to die, and then the suit's going to get passed on to the kid.
Yeah.
Probably. Corey is
I don't know, that's
probably.
I'm excited. Like, I love predictions. I love predictions based off of like any kind of things that you see. So if you guys have any, if you haven't seen it yet, let us know where you hope it's going to go or where you think it's going to go.
Yeah. So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on just about things in the episode while I was looking off to the side here. I pulled up what SSSP actually stands for, and it is the Science Special Search Party.
Okay. I might. There's a slim chance I will remember that.
And this season starts approximately 40 years after the original series.
Okay.
Yes, there you go.
That's a good timeline.
Right. I thought it was Super Science Special something.
According to the fandom wiki, it's Science Special Search Party. I think they might have just called it Science Search Party in the episode.
Yeah, they dropped it down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think I remember hearing them say special, but I'll pay more attention to that next time around. We've got Isaiah the Red Ranger just hopped into the chat. Hey there, Isaiah.
Hey, what's up?
Jared Hodges says that his dad was shocked and then says, hey, Ultraman am superhero.
I think he's referring to what happened at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do I have here? Let me see if there's any, like, I doubt there's going to be errors over here since...
I couldn't tell you if it was fact or fiction.
Right?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, Elle just popped up on the screen. We can actually see her video now.
Oh, wow. You guys, crazy. All right. Well, we're going to probably be wrapping it up soon, but I'm glad I got to make a short appearance here. What else did you want to talk about we kind of just dived into it. We kind of gave our opinions. Are we going to be doing a rating system for these episodes as we go through?
Yeah. So what I figured for this week, we would just give it, like a typical stars or something. And then if you guys watching here in the chat have an idea for just a fun rating system for us to use, it'll still be out of 5 just because that's the easiest way to go. So whether it's like 5 kaiju or 5 Ultraman,
we don't discriminate here. You can make your ratings any way you want. We love your participation. I'm gonna go with beams of light. Isn't that what Ultraman is? Is like a ray of light, beam of light, or am I thinking of Madonna?
Yeah, ray of light is Madonna.
An alien made of light, like we're made of flesh and bone. They're made of light, basically.
Well, I'm going to jump into it. I thought this episode was a really excellent pilot to get you introduced to the world of Ultraman, got you introduced to Shinjiro and his father, and setting everything up. I like the hard cliffhanger. I'm going to give this baby 5 beams of light then. Alien beams of light coming down.
Corey?
I'm going to give it 4 stars.
Okay.
Right.
Why?
Just because I know.
Okay. All right.
It's not bad. It's an okay show, but just 4.
What docked at a point for you?
One is the animation. The animation is real funky.
But I know, yeah.
As we progress, it's just these typical anime tropes that I just don't like. That's always around in everything, even in Super Sentai. I'm just like, can we not use this characterization, please?
All right, I'm excited. To hear your hot takes on that as we move forward through this series. Please point them out to me and the rest of us as we go through it. I want to know what these kind of tropes that you don't like, what they are.
Yeah, we'll get to them.
What about you, Josh?
I am going to give it 5 broken metatarsals.
Nice.
I don't know if that's the actual bone that the kid broke in the other guy's foot, but
it doesn't. I don't think
good.
So.
It does sound good. Just so you like that teenager was able to crush that dude. It does kind of project the things to come and how powerful this guy is. Where he even said, like, I'm going to hold back. He was purposely going to hold back. He just held his. And he's been practicing for some time now. Like, he's been jumping from roofs, doing all these crazy things. So he really has zero understanding about the powers that he has. So I do think that is kind of a defining moment to see how he's going to progress through this series.
Yeah, and it looks like we're starting to get some ratings in the chat while we're waiting for the rest of those to come in. I did pull up some trivia here about Ultraman in general. Ultraman is Netflix Japan's most watched anime for the year 2019, as well as the 6th most watched program overall. So that did really well for them on Netflix in Japan.
Okay, cool.
The series was nominated for Best Direction TV Media category in the 47th Annie Awards that were held in 2020. Additionally, it also got nominated and won the grand prize of the 8th VFX Japan Award, which was also held in 2020 for Best CGI in the animated animation category. So clearly
Corey,
Japan
do you
does
hear
not
that?
agree with Corey.
You hear that, Corey?
No. Somebody
Best
didn't do their
animation of the year.
There's some of those Saint Seiya cartoons on Netflix look way better than this. The CG ones, I'm like, no, man. They were moving like robots, and you can tell it was keyframe animated. It was so stiff.
I mean, that might be the style. I don't know.
I mean, it's true though. Like, the running was stiff. It does have a very kind of not the traditional anime look to it. It doesn't have that fluidity. It also doesn't have that kind of heart of hand-drawn animation.
At least it's better than that like flash animation like we used to get with some of those shows like back in like the mid 2000s. Like there were some of those shows that were just not like the show themselves was okay, but the animation I was just like, This looks like those Netflix or not the Napster cartoons with Metallica. Like they were just like really weird.
Look at Blackwing over here talking trash. He likes Operation Overdrive, so I'm not even gonna comment on that.
Wow, calling Blackwing out.
I'm not saying it's horrible. It's not the best.
The last bit of trivia here is a crowd-funded live-action trailer was made for the TV rebroadcast of the first season of the series. So, in addition to Netflix, they also actually broadcasted on TV in Japan. The fundraising project managed to surpass their goal of 5 million yen, accumulating a total of almost 9 million yen from 612 supporters. So I feel like that's something that I'm gonna have to look up too. Is the this crowd-funded live-action trailer for the series, and we can maybe talk about that next week. But in the chat, we've got Blackwing, who's giving it 5 rays of light, piggybacking off of Elle's preferred format. Jared Hodges also gives it 5 rays of light. Larry Newbill gives it 5, and Blackwing says, "Meta what?"
Honestly, we don't know what body part that is. Let's just assume that is the part that was crushed by the older high school student who is definitely being a creep.
One of the 29 bones in your foot.
Yes.
Something like that.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel bad for that guy. That guy was being a douchey creep, and he definitely deserved worse.
I actually, when they first showed him, this kind of, I guess, plays into Corey's dislike of the animation a bit. But that first shot that we got, I thought he was an older guy. I didn't realize that he was a teenager. I thought it was I thought it was like an older pervy dude that was like creeping on them. Until we saw that there were 2 other kids with him.
Yeah, they look like they're college kids, like hitting on the high school girls. That's what it seems like.
They might have been a little bit older, especially the way that they were drawn. But also, it kind of, because he was kind of so grotesquely like animated compared to how cute like Shinjiro is and like the girl is, it reminded me a little bit of Perfect Blue. I think they specifically animated him to be creepier, to immediately give that sense of like, this guy's bad news. I feel like it's a trope in animation.
Any of you guys seen Perfect Blue? That there is good animation.
It's creepy.
You forget you're watching a cartoon when you're watching that one.
Yeah, if you ever want to dive into that, I wonder if we can do shows on it. I love it. It's one of those you have to give your undivided attention, and it is an absolute surreal mindfuck.
Well, we are looking at building up our stable of programming on anime. Right now, because we're turning the Illuminerdi into a cult. I've recruited my roommate Jamie into our group, and he's going to start a video series on Cowboy Bebop because there is a live action Cowboy Bebop show coming to Netflix starring John Cho. So he's going to start digging into that a little bit. So if you're interested in doing some Perfect Blue stuff, I'm sure we could work that out.
Yeah, we should get into it. If any of you guys in the chat are interested in anime or have a passion for anime, go ahead and let us know. We're looking always to develop new content, and we are always looking for contributors. So if you are big on that and want to write for theilluminerdi.com or potentially pitch a show, let us know.
Daniel Jerome is in the chat. He gives the first episode of Ultraman 5 stars and is telling Corey to stop being an old head.
Hey, well, I just have some foresight into this show. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's been a while, so let me holla at your boy. Thanks so much to the BSG.
So I think that is pretty much going to do it for us for today on the Retro Ranger Wrap-Up Super Special Science Edition Ultraman show.
I like that. I like that title. I think it just rolls off the tongue. I think we should put that into every YouTube title from here on out. It just sounds good. Edition. Yeah, it just, it's super concise. It tells you exactly what it is and just rolls off perfectly. Let's go with that.
We'll see if I can remember it again next week. So today, coming up after we log off here, if you stick around on the Illuminerdi's YouTube channel, you can catch Richard Nebbin's recap and review of the latest episode of WandaVision, which dropped yesterday on Disney+. If you guys are not watching that show, you should be. It is fantastic. It's a slight departure from what you're used to out of the typical Marvel stuff, and is setting up a lot of what's to come in Phase 4. Later, after that, at 2:45, we have the Record Maneuver with myself and Eric Berry talking about episode 13 of Star Trek Enterprise called Sleeping Dogs. And then tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific time, Pump, Jay, and Nathan will be back with the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order. But until then, where can people catch up with you guys on the social medias?
Go ahead, Corey.
C. Gibson Rex. You can find me at places. I'm there if you just use that name.
Yeah, I haven't been as active on social media. I'm trying to get back into that. I have finally found out how to make my Osmo Pocket work, so I might try to get back into dropping some videos and developing videos. But until then, you can find me on Illuminerdi, the Illuminerdi's social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and also check out the Illuminerdi.com.
And you can find me again right here next week on the Retro Range Wrap Up on Twitter and Instagram at Vogon Poetry Slam. And maybe some other stuff. I'm trying to get together a group to play some Fall Guys at some point. So if we get enough people to have a private lobby, we'll post that information up on Facebook or Twitter so that we can get you guys in on it as well. But again, that'll do it for us for this week, and we will see you guys in the future.
All right, Ultraman, Illuminerdi out. Beams of light. How do we do this?
Sure. That works. Bye-bye.